As time goes by in the film industry, new voices speak up and completely change the game. American director Francis Ford Coppola was one of these game changers, who introduced himself to the world as one of the key figures of the new Hollywood film movement in the 1970s. His films are revolutionary and paved the way for new creatives whilst pushing aside older directors. But now it's 2025, and two films about visionary architects have come out. One was Megalopolis, directed by Coppola, and the other was Brady Corbet's latest film, The Brutalist. You do the maths. One film invites us to delve into the experience of a struggling architect looking to start a new life, while the other one wants us to
go back to the club.
The Brutalist is a fictional story that follows Laszlo, a skilled Hungarian architect who flees war-torn Budapest for a better life in America. Whilst pursuing the American dream, he finds out that America isn't all it's cracked up to be, as he uncovers the deeply troubled underbelly of the land of opportunity. As many people have noted, the title of the film has two interpretations. One being the term for someone who practices the architectural style known as brutalism, and the second the label for someone who acts brutal and mean-spirited towards others. Brutalism in architecture came about after World War II by prioritising functionalism over spectacle. It focused on angular designs made mostly out of concrete, and is the driving force of the film. Yet the other meaning of the Brutalist is equally relevant to the themes at play. These themes are explored so thoroughly thanks to the detailed world building that makes you believe you're in the mid-20th century. Quite literally everyone is on their A game, but the cast are especially impressive. When dealing with something of this scope and subject matter, the actors are always going to have to be highly capable. But I did not expect just how exceptional they were going to be. Not only did they have to be convincing as their characters, but they had to retain that energy for the entire film. Adrien Brody stars as the main man Laszlo Toth, and goes through about every emotion one can experience throughout the course of the story. The span of The Brutalist really lets Brody sink his teeth into Laszlo's life. Corbet and Brody do this so effectively that it becomes not just a snapshot of a man in time, but a well-rounded look at his way of living. His physical performance is obviously great, but the real revelation was his transformative vocal performance. Laszlo is a Hungarian-born architect, so naturally, Adrien Brody had to speak some Hungarian, as well as heavily accented English throughout the film. Despite the film's plot and characters being made up, Laszlo Toth himself seems to be based upon Marcel Breuer and Erno Goldfinger. They were both Hungarian architects who immigrated overseas to pursue their passion of brutalism. Guy Pearce puts on a fantastic performance as Harrison Lee Van Buren. He's a rich American businessman that crosses paths with Laszlo. At first he seems quite two-dimensional, but becomes more layered as the film goes on. Like Adrien Brody, Pearce's emotional range as Van Buren is simply incredible, as he walks this line of precision and unpredictability. Joe Alwyn plays Van Buren's son, Harry, with just as much conviction as Pearce. He doesn't get lots to say and do, but when he's present in the scenes, he communicates everything purely through his eyes. Felicity Jones plays Laszlo's wife, Urshabet, and brings an equally powerful performance to the table. Her delivery was fantastic, and the bond she has with Laszlo was really lovely. It's nice to see a tender relationship woven into a 20th century immigrant story. More traditional love stories are usually favoured in cinema, so to see one that endures many unpleasant hardships and obstacles is a welcome change of pace. The cinematography of The Brutalist is beautiful, and countless shots could easily be hung up on a wall as pieces of art in their own right. It's amazing to have a film that balances the tone between heady heights and unpleasant moments with such grace. Corbet lets these moments sit with the audience as they come up with their own conclusion as to how to feel. There has been some controversy about The Brutalist in the news recently, as the film's editor, David Yoncho, has been speaking about how artificial intelligence was used to combine his voice with Adrien Brody and Felicity Jones's, to perfect their pronunciation of Hungarian in the small portions of the film they speak the language, as opposed to the majority of the film where they speak English with Hungarian accent. I'm personally against the use of AI for this purpose, as it takes away from the authenticity of the performances, regardless of how small its use was. Also, the fact we previously had no idea AI was used in the production of the film is quite worrying too. I understand that it had a small budget of $10 million, but they should still preface that they're using this, especially after the actor and writer strikes. Another thing that has annoyed people is the length of the film. Now, the argument could be made that at 3.5 hours The Brutalist is too long and doesn't warrant that amount of time. If I was nitpicking, I would say, yes, it was a touch bloated at points and could have had time shaved off here and there. But on reflection, there aren't really any moments that didn't add something to the overall story. Because of The Brutalist's sheer scale, it needed a runtime that reflected the breadth of the story. People's complaints about movies being too long for the average audience are totally valid, and whilst I get that not every film has to be a 3-hour epic, I do enjoy being lost in a good movie. The Brutalist is currently in UK cinemas, and is altogether nominated for 10 Academy Awards at this year's Oscars. But what I want to know is, will you be watching it? And if you've already seen it, what did you think? Hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more, check out some of the other stuff on my channel, and subscribe too. Thanks, bye.